Normal content creators always try to do something special throughout the year. In October, there's always a horror theme, December, Christmas. I, however, tend to be a bit contrary sometimes. For example, when the newest Transformers film came out last year, other people did retrospectives on the franchise or reviewed every single film, and a couple even reviewed the 1986 animated film. Guess who reviewed GoBots Battle the Rock Lords instead? This guy. With a Friday the 13th in April coming up, creators are gonna review at least one or all of those films. So I was thinking about reviewing instead an episode from the Friday the 13th the series, and the Vanity Starred episode in particular, for reasons. Instead, in honor of Friday the 13th, I will review the film Saturday the 14th. Sure, that makes sense. Saturday the 14th is a 1981 horror comedy about a family moving to a new house only to find the Book of Evil is there as well. Other individuals are searching for the book as well for nebulous reasons. The son reads from it, summoning a bunch of monsters, and wackiness ensues. Now, if you had any questions on what level of silliness this film will have, well, within the first 10 seconds, they spell it out to you. The film was produced by Roger Corman's New World Pictures. Uh-oh. Also, this happens. Wait, this film stars Jeffrey Tambor and Richard Benjamin? Well, enough said. The film begins with a couple of goth cosplayers staking out a joint. After a disjointed transition, they meet up with a realtor to buy a creepy house only to find that it's already been sold. See, what had happened was, earlier at a reading of a will, the main characters Don and Marie find out that Don's uncle left them a creepy house that's located in Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie, Pennsylvania. Get it? Ugh. Anyway, they learn that there's a curse on the house, but before they learn what type of curse, this happens.
As well as I understand it.
Once the family arrives at the house, a few horror cliches start to happen. A black cat crosses someone's path, a picture starts creepily staring at someone, slamming doors, showering mirrors, and then the picture does something interesting after this exchange.
You guys don't want to send me away to boarding school or something, do you?
Everything will be just fine. You'll be amazed at what some nice curtains will do to this house.
I'm just worried about what this house is going to do to me.
Well, later on, the parents find a letter in the refrigerator from the deceased uncle warning about not to open up a book. Doesn't say what book, though. At that same moment, the son opens up the Book of Evil. Every time he turns a page, he summons a new monster like the creature from the Black Lagoon, a mummy, and apparently Feklar for some reason.
You are not Feklar.
Why isn't the kid more shocked when the creatures on the page just disappear? He just has a bland, unemotional expression on his face. For some reason, the realtor comes back in the middle of the night to get the family to sell the home, but gets, disposed of.
What was that?
Must have been an owl.
You're right. It was an owl.
Oh, if you found this mistaking a bat for an owl thing funny, then you're in good luck because this happens throughout the rest of the film. Meanwhile, at the 14-minute mark, the shadow of Count Chocula is creeping towards young Billy. Don checks on Billy and he doesn't see the monster, mostly because he refuses to turn his head to the left. Something peculiar is happening to the mom. While that's happening, Billy is still being stalked by some monster, but he scares it away using the good book.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
They really don't make monsters like they used to. Later on, the daughter decides to take a bath and, oh come on now, how did she not see that? You know, a lot of this family's problems would be solved if they just turned their heads around. I know it's a Jaws joke, but how does the creature from the Black Lagoon, and I'm going to call him Goonie for the rest of the review, how is he able to fit into that tub? Does he have shrinkage problems. I mean, it happens to all men when they get into war. Well, moving on. Wait a minute. This bathtub scene with the girl with the shark, this is reminiscent of that scene in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So is this film unintentionally one of the most influential horror films of all time then? Nah, that's just silly. Sure, Goonie is acting all nice now, but let's be honest, he's really a creeper. Well, after chasing the door around a while, she's saved by a cop played by Discount Patton Oswalt, who for some reason has the William Tell Overture as his theme song.
Everything all right in there?
Why do I get the feeling that this cop is gonna be completely useless? Well, after a brief tussle, Goonie decides to get his munch on with the cop. See, none of this would have happened if Officer Green was on the case. You know, Goonie kinda reminds me of a Cyberman. So wait, did this movie inspire Dragon Ball 2? Toriyama! After all these shenanigans, the daughter faints, which leads to Billy inadvertently almost drowning her. He also disposes of the evidence. I'm not sure why. The parents are so daft, they mistake that cop hat for butcher's twine. Well, it looks like the family is gonna have a housewarming party, and it's here where the mom says the titular line.
Party. Saturday night. The relatives insisted on coming over, so we had to invite somebody we could stand too, to balance things out.
This Saturday night?
The 13th.
Mom, Friday's the 13th.
The 14th then. Saturday the 14th.
He said it!
Next, for some reason, we get a how-to on making a Dagwood sandwich. At the same time, Marie hears something weird and decides to search the attic. I assume she's getting attacked, so the family will decide to vacate the house, but Jeffrey Tambler's vampire character should know that this family is too goofy for that. They still mistake bats for owls. If Waldemar is in the house, why is he just sneaking around and watching the mom like a creeper instead of actually finding the book? Is this a fetish of his? Which reminds me, I have a few other questions that this film so far refuses to answer. If Jeffrey Tambor is a vampire, then how is he out on the brightest of days? Is this where Stephanie Meyer got all of her ideas for vampires from? If so, curse you, Saturday the 14th. Why didn't the uncle put into the note not to open that particular book? Also, would it be safe to say that if this kid opened up the book on Sunday the 15th, all of this would have been avoided? So the wife who looks like a mixture of Carrie White's mother and Angela from Sleepaway Camp was bitten by a vampire off screen. Is she under Waldemar's control? And finally, is she so daft that she would mistake a vampire for a mosquito? Well, to eliminate this infestations of bats, the dad calls an exterminator and gets Van Helsing. Okay, sure, movie. Oh, look, it looks like they're gonna have head cheese for dinner. Why is the daughter the only one giving a normal reaction in the entire film? Okay, seems like the mom's been bitten twice, and going on everything I learned from Love at First Bite, that means she's now 2/3 Kardashian, vampire by now. No, she's acting completely normal here. Well, once Van Helsing arrives, he says in order to eliminate the bats, he has to stay the night. That's interesting since bats aren't completely nocturnal and actually fly around during the day, so he should be only there for a few hours. There isn't any need for him to be there that long. Why am I using logic for a movie that considers a decapitated head a roast? Well, the only normal character, the daughter, freaks out by the head, but when the family comes back, there's a roast on the kitchen table. What was the point of this scene? Monsters are trying to do scary things, and then Waldemar is creeping around trying to get fresh with the mom, but at other times, people's chores are being done and food is cooked. How is keeping up a good home going to scare any family away, much less this loopy one out of the house? I have a sneaky suspicion that Van Helsing is hiding something. Well, he proves me right when later at the dinner table he drops character by delivering this exposition.
The book is in this house! Book? What book? What book? The book. Why do you think that you have strange things happening to you? Why do you think you have bats?
Yes, but what book exactly?
The Book of Evil! Evil?
Okay, I get it. Evil. Well, 40 minutes into the film, and Don finally makes his first smart decision, and he wants to sell the house now. But after a compelling argument from Van Helsing and Marie, he reneges. Is it me, or does Van Helsing look like a mixture of Guillermo del Toro and Roger Ebert? Over the next few minutes, Waldemar tries to use Marie to get the Book of Evil. When that doesn't work, he and his wife Yolanda turn to bats and go into the house, while Van Helsing is looking for a good incantation in his little black book, and Debbie walks in on a late night card game that the monsters are having. Debbie is able to sneak out safely, but Goonie is stalking her, and then this happens. Soon after, Van Helsing and Waldemar finally confront each other, and Van Helsing bluffs his way out of a fight. And he perfectly describes the quality of this film with this quote.
Not bad. Not good. Not bad.
Okay, so we have 22 minutes left in the film, so we should be in the final act. It's Saturday the 14th, and per Van Helsing, the family needs to go through with the housewarming party so they can use that positive energy gathered to rid the world of evil. But not before we get some really bad puns, apparently.
I'll take it. Without my first cup of coffee in the morning, I can't see straight.
Bump.
Here, take this coffee. I can't stand the sight of it.
Upstairs, Marie tries to give Don a good morning kiss. It doesn't work out that well. I think she has something stuck in her throat.
I'll be back for that kiss.
Well, the guests arrive, and really, another black cat crossing someone's path? You know, with the way Van Helsing keeps talking about needing a boy, it's getting very uncomfortable.
Everybody, we're going to play a little game. Somewhere in this house is hidden a small boy. Let's see who is the first to find him.
What do we win?
You win? When? What do you win? You get to keep the boy.
No.
Well, over the course of the night, more shenanigans happen, and I have a question. Why are the monsters killing some of the people, but not all of the people? The film climaxes with a standoff between Van Helsing versus Waldemar, Yolanda, and Billy, who's dressed up as a mini Count Chocolate for some reason. In a twist, Van Helsing turns out to be the villain, while Waldemar and Yolanda are the heroes of this film. Wait, how competent a master villain can you be if you work as an exterminator for this guy? Both Waldemar and Van Helsing battle by making faces and odd noises. Trust me, I did not alter any of this next part.
Never liked that lamp.
That was your mother's table.
Was it? Yeah.
Well, that was different. This goes on for 3 minutes straight. Van Helsing and Billy have a tug of war, and this somehow destroys Van Helsing and the other monsters. The film ends with the vampires leaving, even though Waldemar seems to still want to hook up with the mom. Why? Yolanda looks like a cross of Allura from Flash Gordon and Ursa from Superman 2. For the most part, the acting was fine. Overall, the actors gave a suitable, goofy performance. That said, there were a couple of performances that stood out for me. I really didn't like Kevin Brando's character Billy in the film. He seemed to know everything from being an electrician to important plot points in the film, like why they had to stay in the house because they would lose money, which hadn't been brought up at that point in the story. Also, he plays Billy so flat and bland, and doesn't show a lot of emotion a good part of the time. The other performance that stood out for me was Richard Benjamin as Don. The first time I saw him was in the movie Love at First Bite. After rewatching it again last year, he gives roughly the same type of performance, a bit goofy and off-kilter. The only difference is in that film, his character was more unhinged. Because of this, I'm going to assume that his performance in this film is basically his full range. Most people watching this film won't even know who Richard Benjamin is. He's had a career that spans over 40 years. Odds are though, you've seen some of the films he's directed. Yep, that's right, he's a director too. Some of his most notable films are The Money Pit, My Stepmother is an Alien, Mermaids, Milk Money, and Mrs. Winterbourne. Story-wise, this is just your basic house story. I do find it funny that sites such as Wikipedia and IMDb keep saying this film is a spoof as well of a parody of the Friday the 13th movie series. It's really not. Spoofs tackle a particular genre, but they also have a particular main film zeroed in on their sites. An example would be Airplane spoofs the disaster movies, but it's actually a take on 0 Hour. This film is a parody of haunted house movies. The only difference is they throw in a whole bunch of Hollywood Golden Age monsters. One of the things I did like was that the characters who first appeared to be villains are the heroes, and the obvious hero is the villain. So do I recommend this? I guess. This is an extremely silly yet mostly forgivable film. I can't hate it though because there are a few funny bits in it. Also, the film is only 76 minutes long, so it's not a hard, long, arduous watch. It's not scary, and also, with the exception of 5 minutes at the 1 hour mark, it's not boring. I do recommend the film, but it's nothing to really rush out to watch. Now, finding background information surrounding this film was difficult. Since it's an obscure movie, not too many people have seen it, so there isn't very much interest in it. The film did come out on DVD in 2001, but it's currently out of print. This film came out in 1981 and it seems to have been a moderate success. I haven't been able to find the budget for the film, but it couldn't have been that much considering the level of special effects and the fact that 90% of the film takes place in a house. It did make $4 million though. 7 years later in 1988, a sequel called Saturday the 14th Strikes Back came out. I haven't seen that one yet, so I don't know if it's a direct sequel to this or not. And I'm not really interested in seeing it. I mean, it's not like I have to worry about another Friday the 13th coming out this year, right?
When I leave this house, there'll be nothing left here to be afraid of.